kind of going off of what the first gentleman asked. I gotta catch my breath. Okay. He was saying how if you have like a company, okay, and you have these other, like, everybody's vibrating, you don't have to, okay. If you have a company and you have this common goal, okay, and I don't have to worry about their vibrations. Suppose all the vibrations are working together, okay? So suppose everybody comes up and they have this goal, and now they're all vibrating together, and they're all very, very positive, they're all completely aligned, and they're all going in the same direction. Does that make it manifest faster?
Yes.
Or exponentially?
Yes.
It does.
When you come, because for this reason, it doesn't require that for it to happen fast.
Right.
But when you're all on the same wavelength, you're usually giving each other less to worry about. And so as you're not using each other as your excuse to be disconnected, then you stay in alignment and you let it happen faster. It's sort of the weak way to go about it. I need you guys to all be good so I don't lose faith. Just had to throw that in.
Okay. So if everybody's, like, if a husband and wife team, okay? So
but what we want to say to you is, why do you need them?
I don't. I'm just saying, if there's a, like, forget about the company. Think about like a husband and wife team, and we both have the same goal. And we're like totally psyched about, like, for example, this house. Okay, we find this house. It's this perfect house. We both want the house. We're both sitting there talking at night about, oh, we're going to put this in this room and this in this room, and we're like really excited about it. If we both want the same house and we're totally psyched about the same thing and totally into alignment, that was my question. Is that going to manifest a little bit faster, as opposed to, because I know I don't need him to be in alignment with me to still get my house, but as opposed to... Well,
the answer to that question is yes. But the reason the answer to that question is yes is that in you both dominantly focusing upon what you want, then you are not giving each other reason to push against. So you are just emphasizing one another's alignment. In other words, in that process, you're not helping with the goal because it was already launched. So you're not helping with step one, and you're not helping with step two because the universal forces are bringing you all what you want anyway.
So you're helping with step three.
You're helping each other maintain your vibrational alignment, and that is a helpful thing.
Okay,
we just want to go on record again. We just don't want you to be dependent upon anybody else's alignment for your own.
Okay.
Because it's a trap every time.
Okay.
Because if you start enjoying their alignment, sure as anything, you're going to not enjoy their misalignment. If you make their alignment a big factor, then you're going to make their misalignment a big factor, and then you're going to blame it on them, which means you have no power.
And that's kind of the second part. So, okay, if you're both in complete alignment with something and you're like manifesting it faster, if all of a sudden he, as you said, gets out of alignment, but I'm like, okay, ignoring him, not going there, I'm just going to keep going, I'm going to keep going. Do I slow down, or it doesn't work that way?
Well, as the two of you collectively, you chew together, and sometimes someone really not in alignment with you is more conducive to creating something really wonderful than somebody exactly in alignment with you.
Because they're doing the contrast thing.
Yes, and so you're asking in a more pertinent way. Okay. So we really want you to just accept your co-creation as a great benefit to step one. And then beyond that, just get lined up with what you want.
So just don't worry about it.
We would not worry about where anybody else is. In fact, we so feel that way that when the first words came out of your mouth just now, can you remember what they were when you first sat down?
No, because my heart was beating too fast.
You said something to the effect of when a group of people, when a group of people all want exactly the same thing, or something to that effect. And we wanted to say to you, they do. They all selfishly want what they selfishly want. In other words, you think that there is this coming together, and therefore this altruistic attitude of camaraderie and coming together for the common good.
But it's not.
What really is happening is the contrast makes you want what you want. And that's the reason that we're having this conversation with more definition with you, is that the thing that goes most wrong is that the interaction with them made you want this, and now you want all of them to agree that what they helped you want is what they want. And that, ooh, it gets deep, doesn't it? And that's why, and if you've been listening to us for a while, we've been telling you that everything that everyone wants, whether it's a material object, a state of being, a circumstance, an event, a relationship, you all want it because you think you will feel better in the having of it. Your interests, even if you are collectively gathered in a group dynamic, is selfish, 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 selfish. And there's nothing wrong with that. It cannot be any other way. You cannot help but see through the eyes of self. Now, let's take this a little further. Everybody that you interact with, you put in your vibrational escrow. So let's say you have a child or a friend that you're focusing upon and things aren't going well for them. Well, you can't have that interaction without putting an improved version of them and how they feel in your vibrational escrow. So you just made them personal to the way you feel. Because there's no way of separating what you want from you.
Okay.
And there's no way of separating what you want from those who helped you to create it. We're going to take you in another place, and then we'll come back around to where you are.
Okay.
So, and looking at it from it not working so well standpoint. So let's say that you have a group dynamic going on, and maybe it's with one person, maybe it's with more, and they're just not getting it like you get it, and you're not getting it like they get it, and so there's a lot of conversation about it. But bottom line is you all want to feel good, and bottom line is you all want to thrive, and bottom line is you all want life to be good for you, and in other words, bottom line, you all want to come into vibrational alignment with who you really are. So every single one of you in your quest for feeling better is asking to be the being that's over there in your vibrational escrow. So you all ultimately do want the same thing. At that point of squabble, you just don't know it. So let's say that you're duking it out, you're having this conflicting experience, and you have put something over here, and this person is having a very hard time, and in your awareness of the hard time they're having, you put the new and improved version of them, you can't help it, over there in your vibrational reality. Now, when you look toward that, you just feel wonderful. You feel exhilaration. The source is calling you. You feel wonderful. But when they keep beating the drum that they've been beating so loud, they're a squeaking wheel. And so it's hard for you to focus upon your newfound desire. You look back at them. And when you see them as they are, you can't see them as they currently be, and as they are becoming at the same time. And since as they really are is what's dominant in you, when you look at them as they are, it sort of tears you apart, and you feel awful. And then you say, you're the reason that I grew, and now you're the reason that I'm not going to what I grew to. That's why I'm extra, extra mad at you. And that's the reason that you and so many others keep wanting to clean up all these dynamics. If you could just get them all to be the way you want them to be, then there'd be no possibility of you ever splitting you and using them as the excuse. Okay. And that's why we're not having any of it with you. In other words, we don't encourage that at all. We want you to let them be the rascally rascals that they are.
So don't even give attention to whether they're with you or not.
Because the entire universe is queued up to give you what they helped you know that you want.
Okay.
They were a step one experience. Beyond that, they're irrelevant.
Okay. So it doesn't matter whether they're with me or not, and whether I'm going faster or not, because
it doesn't matter. So did you come full circle in that with us? Do you get it?
Yeah.
Do you get it? How your continued attention to them is only to try to make up for the fact that you're not decisive enough to focus upon what you really mean and what you really want and who you really are.
Okay.
Because this is just more vivid, because it's manifested already. And we get it. That this is what this conversation's been about all day, and maybe will be forevermore. How can I let my vibrational reality be a more dominant player in what gets my attention than the reality that's already manifested? And we say you have to decide to make it so. You have to decide that you want to feel good. You have to decide that's where you're going. You have to decide this is newly who you are. You have to decide that this feels better. You have to decide that that's who you really are. You have to decide that that's what you want to think about. You have to decide that that's why you were born. You have to decide that that's what life has brought you to. You have to decide that anything less than that's not enough. You have to decide that that's where you belong. You have to decide that you want to feel good. You have to decide that that's who you are. You have to decide that that's what feels best. You have to decide that that's where you want to give your attention. You have to decide that that's what's in the process of becoming. You have to decide that that's where it's at. You have to decide that that's the reality that's in the process of becoming. You have to decide that that's where the best part of life is. You have to decide that that's where the fun of life is. You have to decide that that's the direction the energy is flowing. You have to decide that you can't slip back from that and feel good. You have to decide that you want to feel good. You have to decide. You have to decide in this moment. Use your power to focus. It's time to stop giving anything and everything the credit for how you feel.
Okay.
Stop asking for teamwork and be a team.
Okay.
Because one who's connected to who you really are is more powerful than millions who are not. There are people running around trying to corral the millions and convince the millions and get the millions or the hundreds or the 10 in your office, whoever they are, to get them to think like you are and understand like you are, where all along they've helped you to create this legacy, this mastery, this fabulous life experience. And the fact that they helped you to create it somehow makes you think that they're still in on it, but they're not.
Okay. One more question.
So let us ask you one more question first. What do you think's easiest? To line up with who you are, or to convince all of them that you were right all along?
To line up with who I am.
Oh, but what about really getting together a really cooperative group? What about screening them? What about screening them in advance? What about screening them in advance and making sure of who they are, and then bringing them all in and making them sign petitions and promise? What about prenuptial agreements? What about making them promise to love you forever and ever, no matter how bad you are, till death do you part? What about pre-screening? What about that? It still sucks, doesn't it? Because it is so much easier to decide to come into alignment with who you are, to come into alignment with the power that creates worlds, to come into alignment with the truth of who you are, than to mess with that at all. We don't know why you spend any time trying to convince anybody of anything that you want or need. You don't have to convince anybody of your deservability. You just have to decide to believe your worthiness.
Very freeing.
Oh, it's so much easier, really.
Okay.
So where do we leave you with all of them? Are they a problem?
I don't care about them anymore.
Well, wait, because we want to show you how to...
I care about them because they're going to help me find contrast.
Good, but let's just stand over here where Source is, and let's address them. Blessed them. Them who helped you be this. Them who aren't over here with you yet, and may never be,
right.
But them who helped you be this. So your feeling of them when you get over here is just sheer appreciation for the part they played in the becoming that you are. And so we don't want you to not care about them. We want you to adore them for the part they played, and that will set you free.
Okay. Good. You had touched before briefly on beasts, and I have a question. I have a beast, an old beast, a beast that's at the end, and I'm going to have to make the decision to help that beast croak.
Why would ever? All right, we have to start at the beginning again.
Okay.
Well, not
Me
really.
or you?
Well,